Well, on today's podcast, we're going to hear from people who are chronologically superior and what they're learning, and the takeaway from last week's podcast when we talked to people younger than us who told us what they were looking for, what they needed, and the way they felt, the way we treated them. Connor, what did you think about this second segment?
I really enjoyed it. I felt like not only did it allow us to convey to the folks that were in the room and those of you who are listening what our needs were from the top. At the beginning of the podcast, you'll hear us talk about some different learnings that came from the early morning session. But most importantly, I think it was what blew me away was we're really so close. I think we create these artificial barriers in our own minds between the generations. And a lot of the things that were spoken in the morning session and then in the afternoon session from the younger generation to the older generation, there's a ton of similarity, a ton of looking for the same thing, a ton of wanting to bridge the gap between the different generations. I think everybody's just maybe a little bit timid or afraid to maybe put that first foot forward. And so hopefully what we can do is just open up dialogue and just take a step in faith and say, listen, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in your church body, whether it's your own children, just take a step and just let God handle the rest. Don't put so much pressure on, making it and forcing it, but just allow God to work how God's going to work.
Realizing that we're really more alike than we are different.
Yeah, amen. Amen.
But there are subtle differences.
Yeah, and let's celebrate those differences, and we can learn so much from an older generation, and an older generation can learn from us, and that's the beauty of life, and that should be celebrated.
Jim, what do you think are some of the danger spots?
I think that the danger spots. I think the way I saw today's conversation with the chronologically superior, with the interaction with the younger generations, was that there needs to be an understanding. We need a perspective on why do those generations, one of the big things that came out in the conversation is that the millennials, the young millennials and the Gen Zers, they want to find significance in their work and then find a way to get paid to do it. Most of us in the next generations we just wanted to get a job that would pay us and then eventually to find significance in that work somehow. And it came up in the conversation that almost all of us were in our 40s or older before we realized that God loved our work no matter what it was. That almost all of us were older before we realized that there was significance in the very work that we did. And almost all of us were taught that if you weren't a pastor or a missionary, your work didn't really matter to God. So make a lot of money so you can give it to the church to support the ministry of the Four Walls Church. And after we realized that that wasn't true, our lives were transformed. And I think the danger is just in not having those conversations. The danger is in between the generations. The danger is not engaging in deeper relationships outside of work. So you just have preconceived notions about people instead of actually getting to know people. The danger it lies within laziness to build relationships. That's the danger.
Well, you're going to want to listen to this. It might be informative. It could help you in your relationships with people older than you, people younger than you, and understand them better and maybe be able to work with them better. So make sure you listen. Thanks, and God bless.